Good evening. I'm Mayor Javier Figueroa, and I'm calling this regular meeting of the University Place City Council for Monday, April the 7th, 2025 to order. And we'll start with a word call with the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Boykin.
Here.
Councilmember Worthington.
Present.
Councilmember McCluskey.
I'm here.
Councilmember Fleming is excused. Councilmember Grassi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Present.
Mayor Figueroa.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And will Mayor Pro Tem Wood lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
If you all please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And moving on to item number 4, approval of agenda. I'm calling for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any objections to approving the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. And we'll move on to item number 5, presentations. And we have 2 of them, Harbor Day Proclamation. Jack Eklund, Public Works Director, and Parks Appreciation Day Proclamation by Mr. Eklund as well. Is he here?
He's here.
There he is.
Just kidding. He pops up.
You're on.
Good. Nice to see you. Okay, so the City of University Place Proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Harbor Day is now observed through the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, provide oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas all citizens are encouraged to support efforts to protect our trees and to support our city's urban forestry program and to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place does hereby recognize and support Saturday, April the 19th, 2025, to be Harbor Day in the city of University Place, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on April the 7th, 2025. Now, I should apologize for I was amiss in not introducing you as I was reading this. So, Mr. Jack Eklund, our Director for Engineering, correct?
And Public Works.
And Public Works, and what else?
Parks.
Parks, okay. So would you like to maybe explain why we, I already explained it, but maybe the law that it is enacted to do this?
Well, I'm not, I think you covered a lot of the law part. We do, Arbor Day is important to the city. It's, we are Tree City USA. It's been something we've been doing for going on 20 years now, I believe. It's been, shows our commitment to the environment and to the urban forestry of the area. It reduces, as as the mayor mentioned, a lot of environmental impacts, and we are very excited to continue to participate in this. And I know our next proclamation is going to flow into it, but we will be planting a tree in honor of Arbor Day in Colgate Park this year under the next proclamation there. But we're very excited to do that.
Thank you. So the next one, which you're correct, it dives in right into that Arbor Day. And my understanding is, without this, we can't have the Arbor Day proclamation, correct?
They're linked.
They're linked, okay. So the City of University Place proclamation, whereas parks, playgrounds, nature trails, and open spaces make communities attractive and desirable places to live, work, play, and visit. And whereas parks are a place where people can reflect, re-energize, or socialize, a place where everyone is welcome and a place that builds community. And whereas parks, greenways, and open spaces provide a welcome respite from our fast-paced, high-tech lifestyle while protecting and preserving our natural environment. And whereas numerous jurisdictions, cities, and organizations have joined together to create an event that encourages citizens to celebrate the value and enhance quality of life that parks bring to our communities. And whereas citizens of all ages have pledged to volunteer their time to clean up and beautify parks and open space throughout Pierce County. And now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place does hereby recognize and support Saturday, April the 19th, 2025, to be Parks Appreciation Day in University Place, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on April 7th, 2025. So how are we doing in our city with that?
Yes, it's, well, on this Saturday for Park Appreciation Day, we are holding it at the Colgate Park, and every year we're so thankful to UP Refuse. They're a major sponsor of this event, and so I welcome and encourage everyone out in the community to come out and roll up their sleeves and have a good time in helping to support our parks. And also UP Refuse, they're going to be providing some good some treats. They also have some of the best donuts I ever have every year out there, and everyone will also get a t-shirt if they participate in the event. So it's always a fun event, and last few years we've even been able to hold off the weather. So let's see, hopefully that still maintains. It's always a little sketchy this time of year, but it's a fun time, rain or shine.
Thank you. And just for whatever it's worth, for those listening, is that our council members, many of them spend many hours with our parks enhancements and volunteering, along with groups of people for different parks and commissioners that volunteer as well. So I do strongly believe that our community overall really does a great job in coming forth to keeping our community beautiful. Thank you.
All right.
No?
Yep.
Thought that was worth a clap.
You didn't have your mayor up here. Okay. I forget we're on TV. Okay, here we go. Item number, here we go. Excuse me. Public comment, yes. And so we are, I should ask the city clerk, do we have anybody online?
No one online, Mayor.
Okay, so at this time, anyone that is present here today, if they would like to come up and provide public comment, please come forward. I don't see anyone coming forward, so I'll close public comments at this point. And we'll move on to item number 7A through D, consent agenda. Calling for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none, I would, the motion passes unanimously. And we'll move on to council consideration. Item number 8, 36th Street and Grandview Drive Roundabout Bid Award. And we'll start with a staff report. Mr. Jack Eklund, Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. As you said, I'm Jack Eklund, Director of Public Works, and tonight I'm excited to bring to you for consideration the award of the 36th Street and Grandview Drive Roundabout project. For this project, we received 7 bids, and R.W. Scott Construction submitted the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $1,266,348.03. Now, I do want to point out that all the bids did come in a little bit over our budget. However, we were able to go back to our the funding agency for this project and obtain an additional $100,000 from the Transportation Improvement Board to complete the funding. Now, the project does have 2 schedules, and these schedules are identified in your council bill. Schedule A is the construction of the roundabout and associated roadway improvements, and is primarily funded through the Transportation Improvement Board grant, now totaling over $764,000. Schedule B is funded entirely by Tacoma Public Utilities and involves the replacement of the existing AC water main and upgrading it to ductile iron piping, which will increase the reliability and durability of the water system in this area. Now, since this project is located on a primary school route, we have specified in the contract that work will not begin, or at least any work that will significantly impact traffic will not begin until after school is out in June, so we can maximize the summer weather and try to get as much of the traffic impacts done while school is out. Now, this project will provide some much-needed safety improvements to Grandview Drive and will help mitigate speeds and improve sight distances. And with that, I do recommend award of this project, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, before we move on, just as always, for clarification, we'll move on to, during council consideration for extended comments and everything. So for clarification, we'll see Mr. Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor Figueroa. Jack, were all the other in-ground utilities notified of their opportunity to relocate and replace at this point?
Yes, they have been identified. But Tacoma Water is the one that typically is more proactive for to maintain their water main. The other folks are a little bit more reactive, but yes, we did notify folks.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember McCluskey.
Thank you, Mayor. What is the estimated end date of this project?
We anticipate it going into the fall. So right now, I think, depending on weather delays, although hopefully in the summer there wouldn't be some, it would be anticipated to wrap up usually in October. However, some of the items like the street lighting, we are getting some additional street lighting as part of this, and sometimes the lead on those items take longer, so there may be a shutdown in obtaining some of the lighting for this in this area. However, that shouldn't delay like the curbing and roadway improvements themselves. So it may go a little later, but we're always at the mercy of the streetlight company that I would, if I worked for them, I'd be embarrassed to even give schedules since they've never met one since I've been here. I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. So noted. So the coordination with TPU is, they're coming second after the construction?
So it's all part of the same contract, and so it'll have to be concurrent with the work. And so it'll most likely they'll start with the Tacoma Water's main work, and then it'll do the curbing and so forth. But they'll probably there'll be a little bit of overlap with both schedules at the same time, though.
Okay, and so at the end of the day, we're going to get a nice smooth street, there's no cutouts in it and everything, which would be important. And I understand that the R.W. Scott Construction Company is a high-quality company. We worked with them before.
Yes, we've had quite a bit of success with them. They've been very straightforward company. They do good work, easy to work with, so we are excited to work with them again.
All right, great. So communication with all the surrounding residents in there. I know I've talked to several residents, and they're excited to have it, and I assume all the easements are mitigated here, and just look forward for a smooth project and keep that traffic flow since it's impacting Grandview.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We're good?
Yes, thank you.
I have, next is Mayor Pro Tem Wood and then Councilmember Boykin. And Councilmember Grassi, did you have any, kind of put you on the list to speak, or?
Not at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. So a bit more question about Schedule B. So we're replacing the water piping with this new iron ductile thing. What's there now?
So it's a AC or asbestos concrete pipe, which is the type of pipe they used primarily in the 60s and 70s. And it's the problem with it as it ages, it's much more brittle and prone to failure, and also can be not to the water, but if it's exposed and broken, there is, with asbestos, has a bit of a hazard to it from that standpoint as well. So the main driver, though, for Tacoma Water is getting it to be the ductile iron, which then will hold up, and then it won't be subject to damage as easily.
Okay, and then, so related to that, it says here, subject to concurrence from Tacoma Public Utilities. Have they already concurred?
Sorry, that's since we've submitted this for the agenda, since that comes a few days early, we have received both concurrence from Tacoma Water as well as from the Transportation Improvement Board for award.
Okay. And then my final question here is, so between Schedule A and Schedule B, you mentioned the grant was covering about $700,000. How much is the city picking up for this particular project, just out of curiosity?
So it's around $230,000 is the city's portion.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Boykin?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem asked one question I had on my mind. It was about the concurrence, but so thank you for the clarification. That is very helpful. I did want to ask about the competitiveness of the bids. I know R.W. Scott, as has been chosen. How competitive were those bids in your view? Typically, really competitive bid process have much tighter bids, but since we were over such a significant amount and look for a resource, thank goodness, that was able to assist us. Can you speak to the competitiveness of that bid so that I can better understand what the disparity was? It helps us account for the difference.
Yeah, so the bids themselves were a very tight bid spread. So we had 7 bids, and they were all within around 10% of each other, which is pretty unusual. It's very tight, which is a good sign. Typically, if you have bids that are all looking at the same things, it typically indicates your plans and specs are pretty buttoned down, and all the bidders are looking at the same thing. When we looked at some of the cost increases, it's some of the stuff that we're seeing that just continues to rise, some like the lighting and some of the electrical work. And so each one we give our guess based on how things are increasing, and they seem to be still increasing a little more than we would like to see. But the good news is we were able to get that additional funding to help make that gap up.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. Just one quick follow-up question regarding the difference that we're seeing. Is it more labor or is it more in the materials? I know Mayor Pro Tem asked about a material upgrade that's pretty significant given it was 60s and 70s that we're talking about, but can you speak a little bit more to that and recognize, that the the bids being tight is important. Help us
Yes.
understand where, but help me understand what you might be seeing in terms of a material difference that can give us some sense of relief as we move forward with subsequent bid opportunities.
Yeah, so the primary increase we're seeing are, although we don't, in the bids themselves, they don't split out labor versus materials, but based on what we're seeing when we talk to the contractors in our past projects, it's the material costs that are going up significantly. The labor costs are with prevailing wages are generally, each company is typically on a level playing field from that standpoint. And although they are increasing, they're not increasing other than, different than like typical levels. So they're increasing at normal levels. It's more the materials that are more volatile.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the details. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Grassley, any? Nope. Okay, and I don't have any, so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody online for public comment?
I don't see anyone online, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone here present from the public that would like to have public comment? And I don't see anybody approaching us, so we'll call the public comments closed, and we'll move on to council consideration. May I have a motion for the proposed council action?
Mayor, I move to authorize the city manager to award the 36th Street West and Grandview Drive West roundabout project to R.W. Scott Construction in the amount of $993,932 for Schedule A and $272,416.03 for Schedule B, for a total of $1,266,348.03, and execute all necessary contract documents.
Second.
Okay, discussion and comments.
Okay.
Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'm excited that this roundabout is going to be in place on Grandview. It's sorely needed at 35th and Grandview, but I understand all the constraints in that intersection, but I think it's going to be just as good of a benefit to have it there for safety reasons, pedestrian crossovers, because there's a long stretch where pedestrians cannot cross over Grandview, and the traffic is picking up, especially during the lighter hours of the day. And it will help slow down the traffic going towards the school, the high school, as well as going towards 35th, which is critical as well. So I'm excited, and I'm thankful you got the funding for it so quickly. I thought it was going to take a little longer, so kudos to your team. And even though it's going to be inconvenient in the summer, I think it's a much-needed infrastructure. So thank you. Thank to you and your team. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Boykin.
I actually just want to affirm how excited I am about recognizing one more distinction that I believe exists when it comes to the planning and execution for City of University Place. It keeps us as a city of destination intentionally. I think it's the right things in terms of considering the safety. I just wanted to make sure I said that first, because we're going to have some challenges as we go into summer with all the good work, all the good activity that's happening in the City of University Place as it relates to these types of impacts. So I just want to encourage the residents, citizens to certainly bear with us with the patience, but you're absolutely getting the benefit and the expectation that you would see from council, who really pays attention to what your enhancements and your requests have been. So thanks so much for your team and for making this happen again a little bit quicker than we might have anticipated.
Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Well, thank you, Mayor. So the word excited seems to be the word of the day here, so I'll say the same one. I'm excited too. But I want to point out that this project really started with public comment, public interest. There's been a series of accidents over time at the intersection of 35th and Grandview, including, I believe, at least one fatality accident. And the local residents were obviously upset about that. And for anybody who's tried to take that left turn off of 35th onto Grandview during school time, you know how hard that intersection is and how dangerous it can be as people come zipping up and down Grandview, especially around that one curve coming from the junior high. And so the public came to the council worked with city staff, and I will say city staff came up with, a creative solution, because the intersection of 35th and Grandview isn't suited for a roundabout. But they figured out if we put one a block down the street at 36th and Grandview, we'll have the similar traffic calming effect we're looking for, and still be able to do left turns and things like that. And so I admire the creative solution. And then with the lightning speed, at least for government work, that this project has gone through. I mean, the first public comment came in about, 2 years ago? So something like that. And we are ready at the point of starting construction, which is just insanely fast. Most things take, 4, 6, 8 years from project generation to funding and then start work. So I am very impressed, Jack, with you and your team. I am impressed with our public for being concerned and voicing their concerns and initiating this project for us. And so, thank you, and I am excited.
Anyone else? Okay, I don't have any either. I think all the good words have been said, and we'll go for a vote. And I'll just have the city clerk call for the vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Boykin,
Yes.
Councilmember Worthington,
Aye.
Councilmember McCluskey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grassi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Figueroa.
Yes.
Mayor,
Okay.
vote result 6-0 for the ayes. Motion passes.
Okay. So with that, thank you, Mr. Eklund. We'll go on to item number 9, which is the exciting part. We hear from the city manager, along with the council members for comments and reports.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And just commenting on what you just voted on, which is the 36th Street roundabout, done with lightning speed as public infrastructure projects go, from concept to grant award to design through bid award and now onto construction. I would just remind Council and the public that who you heard from our Jack Eklund, Parks, Public Works and Engineering Director. This is just one of 20 projects that they're currently actively managing, many of which they actually were the principal parties securing the funding to actually have the projects to begin with, and brought it. Most of the projects are designed in-house by the small but mighty engineering team, and then presented to you for bid award. So these are projects that will have lasting impacts on the community. That will be here for many decades to come. These are not lightweight, ephemeral things. They are lasting improvements to the rights of ways that the city manages and owns these rights of ways throughout the city. So I just make that point, and when I have an opportunity to do so, I want to point that out to the public that these are significant. But there's another 19 other projects currently being worked on. Some are in construction already, some are yet to be put out to bid. So I'll let you know about that. And then there is one important message from State Representative Maury Levitt, who informed us last week that $494,000 has been allocated in the House budget proposal for the current Orchard Park improvements. So it's not a done deal yet. She is tracking that as the bill progresses through the legislature. And she's on top of it, and she's working hard to see that get passed. But so far, so good. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. And with that, Mayor and Council, it's my report.
Thank you. And we'll start with to my left, and you know what? Let's start with Councilmember Grassi, since she's online. I don't want to forget her at the end. So, Ms. Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for all of the hard work this evening, Public Works, and it's exciting to hear all of our calming projects. I want to echo Councilmember Boykin's voice that thank you for all of the hard work, but also thank you to our citizens for being so patient with all of the construction work that's happening around our city. They have been patient, and there is more to come, but progress is worth it. So I want to thank you for your patience. This last couple of weeks had a great coffee with the chief event. Thank you to our public safety team for putting that on at Happy Duo. Wonderfully attended, full house. Even had to move into the atrium. So thank you, Chief, and to Jennifer Hales and your team. It was wonderful. Wonderful to talk with our citizens, and our chief, as always, was very accommodating and able to answer questions. I also want to thank Wes Pierce and our public safety department for coming to Hero Day at the new school at Chambers Bay. They delighted a bunch of kiddos on Friday as we celebrated the heroes in our community at Chambers Bay School. So thank you for being a part of that. I'm looking forward to our park day. I want to echo thanks to UP Refuse for sponsoring that incredible event. I look forward to being out there with so many other volunteers. Also coming up at the ribbon cutting at our new Essential Pantry happening on the 18th at 11 a.m. here in Market Square. I'm excited to officially help cut that ribbon for the new small business opening in our city. It's so exciting to see all of these small businesses thriving and opening up. And I also want to say thank you to our public works team. The improvements at Sunset Terrace, as you've seen online, are completed, and I've heard from family after family already that have been taking advantage of that. So perfect time for spring and summer. Thank you to our team for making that happen. I also want to give a special shout out to our Daffodil Princess from Curtis, who I had an opportunity to meet with, and with wonderful representation of our city in the Grand Floral Parade this Saturday. And so congratulations to her, and it's so wonderful to see wonderful representation from our community. She made Curtis proud and University Place proud as well. So much happening. Thank you to an incredible team for making it work, our staff as always, but will conclude my report for the evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And we'll start with Mr. Boykin, Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Let me just first say again, it's hard to be a hero in your own hometown, but apparently Public Works and Planning Director, Parks Director, I should say, Mr. Eklund seemed to have that down today. We are appreciative again as we led with being reminded about the projects that your team has led, and specifically noting tonight about the enthusiasm around the 36 in Grandview effort. But you also stood in and handled two proclamations today, so I'm starting to begin to think that you're the real-life superhero that people often need to see examples for. So I'm not going to miss an opportunity to just affirm for you the appreciation for all those that really put City of University first. Want to also just give some ideas about some activities that I've been involved in. Really just appreciate folks that have prayed for me. I appreciate those prayers. Certainly helped with my health. You may not remember that it was a little difficult to speak the last time I had a chance to report out, and so it really challenged my spirit, and also challenged how I'm really appreciative about being able to do this and being enthusiastic about sharing some engagement. As it relates to some efforts that's been local that I've been involved in, the Washington Economic Development Association have had their local conference, and that gave us a chance to continue to lift the expectation of what economic development is. It's always important, even in challenging budget times that we have like right now. We still want to be mindful about the economic development impact that's always undergirding what it is that we get to do and how we get to enjoy this quality of life that we have in municipalities and across different spaces in government. I was really appreciative about being able to be a participant in that conference. And certainly want to give absolute shout outs and supports to both our local U.S. representatives at the state level as well as at the congressional level. Been really paying attention to when they provided and held space for residents and citizens to talk about how their lives are being impacted and what they are going through, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how our representatives hold space for those types of conversations have been something that I think people are laser focused, and it's been no exception here in the city of University Place. And lastly, I just want to underscore how that translates, and really appreciative of specifically Representative Levitt, who had given us real time to help our agendas come to fruition, and then really paying attention to the things that we care about most. So that $494,000 that we hope translates to a really impactful effort with Orchard Park improvement. That is absolutely fantastic. So she's not the only one paying attention as to how it is that we might be able to be that much more impactful and appreciative of what her efforts lead back to our residents and our citizens here at City of University Place. So that's all I have to report out, Mayor. Thank you so much again for giving me the opportunity, and again, really appreciative for folks that sent me good thoughts and prayers when it came to my specific health last month.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Well, thank you, Mayor. So I've got a couple things to report out on. First, a couple weeks ago, Friday, I was at the Pierce County Climate Commission meeting, the quarterly meeting. The focus of this meeting, rather than looking at a specific climate issue like tree canopy or something like that, was really more on, I'll use housekeeping. They're looking at a possible restructure and repurposing of the committee, because right now it's been more focused on education and grant awareness and things like that. And now they're trying to decide if they want to morph this, migrate it, whatever you want to call it, to something that would be more action-oriented, more along the lines of like SHAPE, for lack of a better term, or description. What it would look like, not clear yet. And I thought this was kind of interesting, is at the very end there's like, well, does anybody want to help us, donate some funds to help keep this going for a little while? And it was just such an unstructured request. I was just like, so anyway, what I would anticipate is at some point in the future, if they can come up with a good, I would say, cost-benefit analysis of what they're looking for, what they intend to do, what it would cost to do it, and then look at possible contributions for it. There may at some point be a request for our city to support if we want to continue participation. Mm-hmm. But what that looks like, what we would get out of it, I have no idea at this point. Just want to let you know that that's what they're starting to mull over. And then the second thing was last week I was at the meeting here actually in our chambers. It's a Pierce County Region 4. It was with County Executive Mello and with our new council member Ayala. Mm-hmm. And there's also representatives from the city of Fircrest, Tacoma, and then the staff of the county as well. And it was just really kind of an hour-long discussion here in the chamber about, first discussion of where we've had collaborative success. This is as much an educational tour for our new council member as it was for Executive Mello in his new role, to talk about what we're doing in this particular region with the executive. And so they asked about like an area of collaborative success. So I brought up the street project we're doing with Fircrest right now on 44th. That was a great way to collaborate. We're using our engineering staff and our bigger city staff resources to support Fircrest and the grant, and we both win. Because that street, obviously, it's a shared street. And if you haven't been down it lately, you know it's a pretty dangerous street to walk on because there's no sidewalks. So anyway, so that's a project that I brought up as an example of success. Executive Mello talked about his priorities, covering, I think we've all heard him at our retreat as well, but he brought them up again here. Specifics on homelessness and housing in areas like that. Then they asked the question of what are your concerns about what's going on at state right now? And I limited my laundry list of concerns down to just one to keep the meeting at appropriate level. But I brought up the concern about the motion to remove parking requirements from local control so that developers can build houses with no parking. And I explained that our street system is not designed to support that. And that if they, so the county exec and those are aware of that, our concern. There's several others brought up by some of the other cities as well. And then finally, we finished that up with a tour of the water treatment plant down off of Chambers Bay Road, which, as long as I've lived here, I've actually never had that tour. And it's fascinating. I never thought I would be so impressed with the wastewater treatment plant, but I was. It's actually apparently state-of-the-art, and it's a huge facility, much bigger than you would think. And it's actually, I think, a real... it's hard to call wastewater treatment a jewel, but it's a real asset to our community, and not just our community, but the entire county. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor Figueroa. A couple of things, one of which is I was invited to testify before the Senate on House Bill 1133 recently. As a reminder, 1133 is the bill that deals with placement of level 3 sex offenders in communities under judicial supervision. The 1133 would change some of that and have, the way I believe, is a greater opportunity for communities to be aware of that taking place and to some degree, provides more information for judicial consideration in the decision process. We might remember that we had this issue come to us about 3 years ago. Representative Levitt was helpful in that process. We met in this room. We had the Special Commitment Center staff here along with members of the neighborhood, and we talked, they learned about some of the details associated with that placement. This would replicate not all of that, but some of that. In that testimony, there were only 3 people testifying. The opposition that was testifying previously at the House changed their testimony to be, instead of opposition, in support. The issue passed out of the Judicial Senate Committee, and I forget the exact proper name, but well, essentially that's what they do. It passed out unanimously, and then it also passed out through the Senate unanimously later. So it is now awaiting the governor's signature and such. So very nice that we were able to get some effort or some work done on that, on a policy issue, not specific to us, but something that we had experience with that we felt we could be better, and Representative Levitt was the key piece to that as well. I mean, she literally made that happen. So wanted, though, to report to the council about that, and look forward to hearing at some point about the governor's signature, whenever that's appropriate. On another item, I serve on the Opioid Abatement Council for this city. We are running a little late on some things. We have to consider how we wish to prioritize funding opportunities using the settlement funds. Now, we may choose not to use that, but I've requested a couple of times, not as a legislative request, because this is not me. It is a ministerial duty the city has under the obligation of the Opioid Abatement Council. But I'd like to see if we could somehow get that scheduled. I've made about 2 or 3 requests, and I haven't seen that happen yet. So, again, it's not a legislative issue on my behalf. It is just what we need to do. We've have done some public outreach. Perhaps we want to do more, but whatever it is we need to do, I'm sure we'll get it underway. I wanted to congratulate Jack and his team on the TIB award. That is the Transportation Improvement Board award. The extra $100,000 there to help the rising costs of the infrastructure. That takes not only grantmanship, it takes a little bit more than that. Knowing how the process works, and having the confidence of the folks that will be making that award, that they know it'll be used appropriately, and of course it will. I think that's about what I have for now. Thank you.
Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I want to echo Councilmember Worthington's comment in regards to Mr. Jack Eklund and his team, for somehow they keep pulling these rabbits out of the hat, and it never ceases to amaze me. And to get the additional funding so that it didn't have to come out of our general fund, thank you. You're always looking for a bottom line, not only for safety and the health and wellness of our city, and keeping the infrastructure looking amazingly beautiful. You do it as a cost savings wherever you can. So thank you to you and your team. And a shout out to Mari Levitt, our hardworking state representative. I mean, we've heard her name several times today on this dais. She rolls up her sleeves, and not only rolls up her sleeves, but she puts her tennis shoes on and she runs and gets things done. I did not believe she could get under the how tight the funds were, the funding for current apple orchard. I know it's not at the finish line yet, but it's looking pretty promising, so I'm excited about that. And I thank her once again for her hard work, because many of our projects in our city has her touch on it. A shout out to UP Refuge once again, a community partner coming forward. They sometimes do hot dogs, donuts, or now T-shirts, I guess, for our Park Appreciation Day on April 19th. So I want to thank them for being a strong partner. It shows that they're interested in our community, but it also helps the sense of morale and esprit de corps of each event that they're part of. So thank you. So Colgate Park, Parks Appreciation at 9 o'clock. I hope to see people there. One thing I'm kind of concerned with Mayor Pro Tem's indicating that the climate action is going to venture in to having a shape of shape. The UGA is on the way as well for homelessness, so affordability, and now climate. We do have the Pierce County Regional Council that has oversight over some of those things as well. So my concern is the duplicity of the services with the administration and also with the intent of the outcomes. So we need to be cognizant, and so that we don't grow government bureaucracy unintentionally for good causes. They're all good causes. So as I go think about SHAPE and UGA, I think that has a way that they can synergize within each other to at least save some additional costs, because at the end of the day, and the UGA has indicated as well, they're looking for the City of University Place to ante up some money. So that's just my note there. Councilmember Grassi and I had a hard hat tour of the YMCA and saw their diagram of that amazingly beautiful facility that's going to evolve in the background of the old YMCA. The old YMCA will be demolished in phases, and you'll have a beautiful, I don't know if it's Olympic size, but it looks pretty amazingly Olympic to me, with a raging river. There'll be a new yoga room, weights, all sorts of really interesting activities. The amount of square footage will be approximately the same. It will, the membership could house a little bit more members than the current capacity of the old building is, but the atmosphere will be beautiful. So I'm looking forward to getting another tour of it once it's all built out as well. So that was a long time coming for them. They had a little hiccup with COVID and funding, but they're back on track getting that done. So if you have an opportunity for a hard hat tour, I would probably ask Mr. Johnson, who's the executive director at the YMCA, to do it. He's always willing to share his insight and his vision and what it's going to become. And speaking of the Pierce County Regional Council, I was at the meeting on March 20th. It was a very short meeting, so obviously a very short report. So they are talking about a UGA swap with a couple of different communities and entities, and we'll get more information on that at a later date. There will be a review of the centers of application sometime this month, and There's a talk about high-speed rail. There's a 2 years feasibility and in a tune of trying to get a $49 million grant so the light-speed rail can go from Canada to Washington, Vancouver. So quite extensive, and that's all my report today and all that the PCRC had to offer, which is quite unusual.
Thank you. Okay. I just got a couple of points here, and one is, Mr. Sager, if you could just help us out with maybe bringing forth in the next meeting a opioid report of where we're at. And then the other one is help me out with on the agenda with the when we usually have the state reps come in and tell us a little bit what happened at the legislative session, right? And if you can specifically what legislation occurred impacting our citizens specifically. Don't really, it's important, but don't want to hear about the world, but just specifically to our citizens. And especially around the taxes. There are so many taxes that are going to be implemented on our citizens, and I think they need to know, maybe even capture it on our website. Okay, that ends the study session, and it ends the regular meeting, and we'll go into the study session. And we'll start with item number 10. And the 30th birthday bash presentation by staff, Mr. Suggs, City Manager.
All right. You see a colorful starting slide. Now I've got here she is. So events director is Marion Holloway is going to join me. Council, public that's watching this. We've got, and I'm dangerous, I've got the control of the remote here, so we'll see. All right, so 30th birthday bash. This was originally planned as the 25th celebration of the 25th anniversary of the city, but due to COVID just happening to occur during that same year, that had to be canceled. And so it was advanced now to the 30th birthday, city's 30th birthday celebration. Council asked us to come back. Council, we reported to you at the retreat in January with an initial concept. The comments that you provided were extremely important, and you provided a lot of good questions and a lot of good insight and ideas. We digested all of that. I spoke with Barry that evening following the retreat, that same evening, and she started to work on it that night and has been hard at work at it ever since, along with all the other events, the 12 or 14 other events that we do annually that are already on the docket. This one's a one-time only for now. It's at some time in the future, the city may wish to hold a similar celebration for the 40th or 50th. But here we go. So 30th birthday bash, and I'm going to change the slides, Marianne, but we'll, as you can see, I'll just report on this one. The date is set. It has been for over a month or couple months now. Saturday, August 23rd, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's a one-day only event at Cirque Park, and activities for all ages. So we're going to get into it, and Marion's going to describe a little bit about this.
So for our attractions, we are anticipating some great bands, a main stage with music and entertainment, and then a beer garden to accompany that. Community groups, of course, will participate. We have a outdoor market that is a great market. It's handmade only items that are local, and we think that we're going to have about 50 booths. We'll have space for about 50 booths at this event. The Balloon Glow Show will be the grand finale at the end that council wanted, and that should be pretty magnificent. and a big draw, a regional draw for our area.
All right. That's my cue.
With those attractions, we will attract to our area people and businesses, place and memory making, future generations, pride in our community, and outside investment. For the kids and teens, we do have a kids stage as well that we've added. We have about 5 entertainers for the children. Some of those will also be roving the event after they perform, entertaining everyone throughout the event. We're going to hold a skate jam, which will start at about, I think it starts at 11, and will go to, I think, 5 or 6. They cut off. We have a professional company managing it that will have awards at the end for the families. And a couple of professional demonstrations there for the kids. And then we have 2 food courts. One will be at the skate jam, and one will be down below with all the other activities. We have quite a lot of back of house. One thing that's not listed there is the planning that has gone and will continue until August. We have shuttle and parking and rentals and facilities, the security and custodial, and then the promotion and marketing element. The estimated costs for everything, including this event, for the attractions, for the main stage, and the sound and performers, is $58,000. The kids and teens stage, sound, performers is $49,000. The back of house, $109,000, and staff overtime that will be required is $21,000. We've added some birthday enhancements to 2 other events. Movie in the Park, we've increased that event, which is the city's annual birthday party, to include $9,000 for some added attractions and activities, and then Oktoberfest, $500 just for one added attraction for that event. So the estimated total overall is about $250,000, $246,500.
So, council, we, at this point, have a plan, but we have no money. So, we're looking for a source of funding to put this event on, and it would, if whatever council decides, whatever level you want to fund, that would then be put forward in the carry-forward budget, which is coming later this spring. That Leslie will be, it'll be part of the carry-forward budget amendment. Let's go back to the budget, because I know you're all wanting to talk about that. Because ultimately, it is, that is the one, certainly I'm looking for, or Mary and I are looking for any input on, and questions you might have about the particular elements, the attractions and the kids and teens and so forth. You know, if you have questions about this, we'll try best to answer that. We've got a lot of detail, doesn't mean we have everything lined up, but we're at the point now where Marion's been making arrangements. I've been signing some contracts on things that we need to line up. Now, we haven't expensed those things, but we have, I think the only actual out-of-pocket dollar expenditures we've been doing is some artwork associated with the graphics that needs to be pushed out early as part of the marketing effort. And I think, you know, everything else, the music, the performers, the entertainers, and, you know, all of the stage setup, all of that is, you know, the actual expense will occur several months from now, you know, closer to or at the on the day or week of the event. For now, so we have not but we are lining things up, like the headliner band. That had to be secured like yesterday, so we made sure we secured the necessary bands. Maybe you want to talk about, because that was the question, Marion, at the January retreat, that filling the event with music throughout the day, and I think we made a concerted effort to do that. So it's probably worth talking about a few things like that.
Yeah, definitely, because we start at 11 and we will end at 9 with music, with the Balloon Glow from 8 to 9. We have 4 bands, and one of them is a very popular band. That will be the anchor band at the end.
It's a Earth, Wind, and Fire band.
How much I can say.
But well, it's
Kalimba.
Excuse me.
It's Kalimba.
Kalimba is the name of the band. The glow show at the end. This hot air balloon glow show also has music. So the band will end at 9 or 8, right? And then this starts at 8 o'clock or this goes from 8 to 9. The balloon glow show. Those balloons are anchored to Ford F-150s, I'm told, so that they don't fly away.
Yeah, the first half hour will be DJ Lucky Strike, who's the Kraken DJ. And he will have music going to the balloons, the lighting of the balloons. And then the last half hour, families can go up and talk to the pilots, explore the balloons. I think they can even step inside. I'm not sure about that.
This is, the company is Seattle Ballooning, I've been told, and they've done a number of these events around the region. They're kind of well known.
They've done one with 80 balloons with no issues.
So I want to, so those are some of the key things, council asked for, okay, what's, big impact, especially the 30th, make it memorable, so people are talking about it, for a long time after the event. In the same way we still talk about for instance, the U.S. Open that happened at Chambers Bay, but even more so because this is a true community event. Marion, I guess the other thing is going back, before we get into the dollar amounts, the skate jam. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we're contracting Method Coffee and Skate. They manage contests and their competitors. They manage regional contests in the area. They will be hosting that entire event up top by the skate park. And they will have a professional demonstration to kick off the event. They'll have some training with the kids. And then the kids, they will have the sign up. They'll take care of the sign up for an actual skate jam competition with our kids and kids in the region. And then at the end, they'll go up on stage and you get their medals, and it's a real deal.
So that's the skate jam, and then we talked about the music and entertainment. Oh, the music, there's going to be a kids stage as well, you mentioned. Yeah,
so the kids stage, we have Ian Dobson, who used to be with us years ago. Well, he's been with the city for quite a while with events, especially for Duck Days. The steel drums, he'll be kicking it off, so it'll be good welcoming music. Then we'll have the Parrot Lady will be there with her magnificent parrots. And we have a magician, Joe Black, magician, that will be there. He'll be on stage there for an hour, and then he'll be roving the crowd with his magic. And then Alex Zerbe is an exciting one, too. He just opened for Jerry Seinfeld last month in New York. And he is the Zaniac, and he does entertainment for adults and children. His capacity for this event will be for the children, and then he'll also rove the crowd and go up to the skate park and teach hacky sack up there, is our hope. Maybe we'll have little hacky sacks that we can hand out.
we'll come back to the community groups, but the outdoor market, we have a person that's doing the farmers market is also going to run that, or
No,
separate?
separate. This
Okay.
is South Sound Makers Market. We've had her 2 times at Duck Days, and it's been a great turnout, very successful, all handmade. There's honey and from food to caps that people bring, but it's all handmade quality. Farmers market will be someone else starting in June.
So this outdoor market, there's 50.
Hoping, yeah.
Up to 50 craft
Yeah,
booths.
we think we can fit 50 there.
And then the community groups, the council was interested in participation, so that this is a community event, and that it really represents University Place. So we have a number of community groups that are looking to participate.
They will, yes. We have partnered with Chambers Bay. They will be there. We're going to bring in a putting green, 9-hole, and they'll help manage that. And of course, the Historical Society, we are asking them to put together the time capsule. And then would like to have them there also with a booth up for art and core. And I can't think of any more right now. But
Is school district at this point?
yes, of course they're invited. Yes, I'm not sure how much participation
And
we'll
then
have there.
JBLM, of course, will be invited, and others. But say the time capsule that the Historic Society will be working on or managing.
They will gather items to put in the time capsule.
And that actual time capsule is going to be buried
Or encased
somehow by the History Museum, right? So that I believe that's the plan.
Hoping that we can combine it with ribbon cutting there for the grand opening.
Yeah.
And include it. Be cool.
So obviously, more than just this one-night event or one-day event, there's going to be things throughout this summer into the fall. But certainly, wanted to give you a flavor for that. The beer garden is a larger beer garden, obviously, than we can fit on Market Square.
Same with stage.
Excuse me?
Same with the stage.
The stage, a very large stage. If you remember, of course you do, the UP festivals that we had up and through 2008, I believe, 2007. Those were large stages. We'd be talking about that size of stage. And then, as Marion pointed out, there's a kids stage off to another area that will be smaller, more scaled for the children, and appropriate and fun. There is, I wanted to talk about, shuttle and parking. So we are looking at a blue line and a red line, right?
Yes, we're hoping to have 2 shuttle areas, one at Curtis High School and one here at City Hall. We're going to designate parking or pickup areas in the main parking lot at Cirque. One we'll call the blue line, one we'll call the red line, and we'll have the red flag out there and the blue flag with someone managing both shuttle pickups at Cirque Park. And they'll run continuously from 10:30 a.m. to, at the end of the night, 9 p.m., we'll have them all lined up waiting to pick people up when everything's done, so we can shuttle people off efficiently.
The shuttle will be also, we'll have additional transportation options. Uber and Lyft will have their own special drop-off zone, drop-off and pickup zone, very conveniently located in the park. So there is no parking other than ADA and council park, some VIP parking.
Dignitaries, yeah, council members.
Obviously, performers and some of the folks that need to bring their equipment and et cetera.
But the shuttles will be busy in there all day.
Right.
Yeah.
So shuttles and parking. Rentals and facilities, well, that's just all this. Most of this most of the things you think of in an event is rented. It's not purchased. The stages, et cetera. The various I'll leave that for maybe another time. Security and custodial, I do want to mention that we are going to have pretty enhanced and substantial security. And Mary, you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're looking at a company that's actually located here in University Place, and our security company that's on site here as well, to have enough security to be at the remote parking sites, to be here at the garage until closing hours at, I think, 11 o'clock we're anticipating here at the garage. Same with Curtis. And then multiple shifts with multiple security on site at the park. But in addition, we'll have officers that can be at the intersection of the park at the front. It will be a right exit only. The shuttles will be coming in one way, going out another. There's only one way to travel into the park and back out, and right turn only. They'll probably travel down 67th and back to their remote locations and continue that circle. So we'll have police officers staged there. We'll have different shifts, of course, multiple police officers to help manage the traffic there, manage the traffic flow inside the parking lot as well, to make sure that Uber and Lyft are taken care of and are timed and synced with the buses, et cetera. So we'll have off-duty officers as well as plenty of security.
All right, now back to the budget. We've got the main event. We also have the enhancements at the Movie in the Park. Movie in the Park currently runs about $9,000 to do, like the last year's event was about $9,000. We're talking about an additional $9,000. That seems like a lot, doubling the event. We are talking about something that's very themed, oriented for, and well, you mentioned, you can talk about it.
Yeah, the movie for this is Moana 2, which is a big deal that it came out. So we're happy that we are getting it right when it's released, I think, for this kind of event. And then we have the Polynesian fire dancers that will be performing, so we have a stage and sound for that as well. And then I think we added a bubble performer. So
previously, in previous years, there was no stage. There was the inflatable movie screen, and we had performers and characters, the magical characters walking around. We are going to have a real stage at this point, and so there's going to be it's going to be a much more enhanced event for that evening. So that's why that dollar amount, the total dollar amount, with the paying performers and the stage rental, etc. So Oktoberfest, is just a special lighting fixture that we're hoping to enhance this with the 30th in honor of the 30th birthday. So that's 246. You can round it up to 250. It's more memorable, I guess, if you do it that way. But that's the order of magnitude. We have at this point, we haven't tried to figure out less amounts. We can do that. There's ways that can be done. That dollar amount can be lowered. But before we do that, obviously we can start subtracting things and taking things out of this event and come up with a lower total cost. If the council wishes to see, us to a not to exceed number, but if this number is suitable and acceptable, we can just run with that, and Mary can leave here and move on and continue signing contracts.
Are you done with your presentation?
I am done, Mayor.
Okay. I'd like to just, before we start with clarifications, questions, comments, whatever, is that just to make sure we're on the same page here. So you're requesting from council approval through a resolution to amend the budget to accommodate this cost? What is it that you're actually looking for? A vote, if we do vote on it, what is it we're going to vote? A resolution?
I'll turn over to Matt.
Yeah, as the city manager indicated during the presentation, the actual council budgetary action would take place during the carry forward of the budget amendment process. Today's purpose is sort of a collective head nod. You've been given an out-the-door price of a touch under $250,000 for this event. With a request from the manager, is there anything you guys want scaled back? This functionally at the end of the day is a conversation with a head nod from council. Are we good with this figure? Are we good with these items before we continue to let a lot of these contracts? And council could say today, theoretically, we could bag it on one end of the spectrum, and in which case we're in a scenario, or find somewhere in between that, or we're good with $250,000 on that. But what that is it's a conversation. And so with the head nod on that, it's to see, is there some sort of consensus coming out of today as we go forward?
Okay, so you're looking for a head nod with the intent that everybody is going to keep their head nod going when we vote for the supplemental budget. Right. So, okay, everybody understand that, right? Oh, would you put on Councilmember Grassi so we can see her as well? I think we all have our presentation in front of us if we have to refer to it, but I don't want to leave Councilmember Grassi out of this. Oh, there she is. Hello. Councilmember Grassi, you heard that, and you understand what they're asking from us? Okay.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
You're welcome. So with that, council, as we do all this, there's one thing that I would like to ask as a council member and also as your chair, facilitator person, is that let's keep in mind about certain key things that I think is important. One is timing. We could say, let's look at what can be subtracted and let's see how we can reduce the cost. But I think that knowing the timeline, that if we do that, they have to come back to see what they can do. And I believe that's going to be very disruptive. I just want you, as we think about this, what does that mean? What's the consequence? I believe we will get into the weeds about we didn't like that, or we need to change it, we need to reduce the cost. We're talking almost like another study session somewhere or another, and then it becomes, I think, frustrating and somewhat disabling the staff to get their job done appropriately with so many players involved. So I like to make sure that we keep that in mind. And if it's just that I personally think that they presented us what our concerns were and did a great job. Do we approve the monies or not? And so I'd just like to keep us that in mind, and we'll start with. I know people want to raise their hands. Everybody has a say, but I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do it here because everybody wants to speak. So let's start with Melanie again, because it's easy to forget about the person up there as we get into discussions. And if you don't mind with me doing that, somebody really needs to go first, go ahead and holler. It's fine. I'm not going to skip anybody. But Melanie, you're okay with starting off our conversation?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
You go for it.
Thank you, Marion and staff, for creativity and bringing this forward. I just have a couple of questions. I know we have so many. I'm interested, it was before my time, but do we have an estimated cost of what the estimated cost was going to be of the 25th anniversary, 25th birthday that didn't happen because of COVID? Was there an estimation on that? I see Matt's face. All I see is Matt's face. And I wish you all could see my screen. It's just this.
The self-image also just pops up momentarily. The facial reaction was, I wish I could remember. My memory is usually good on most things. I can't remember that one.
We do have some memory up here. So, anybody, what I remember, by the way, is we never went to this detail and this exact number. Some numbers were
It
thrown
never
away.
got that far.
Yeah, so there were some numbers thrown around, but not to this detail to get into the point that let's accept it or not.
Okay. Another question, and don't hate me for asking, is there a possibility of swapping / canceling Movie in the Park to accommodate some additional fun? Do we have to have the Movie in the Park this year and this celebration? Question number 1. Question number 2, I got a wonderful list of Faircrest Centennial sponsors, business sponsors, gold level, silver, small business for their centennial this year that they're celebrating in October. And they've done a lot of outreach to get business sponsors and things for that event. I would love to see us work on our sponsorships to offset some of this cost and see if there are some key sponsors that want to come online, that want to be lead gifts, $50,000, $100,000, $10,000. And if we could be talking about that, is that an option? Also, I know that we talked a little bit earlier about estimation of people. Do we have an estimation of how many people we think we can expect for this event coming into the city and businesses as well? I know I'm just throwing it out there for you, but.
I think we can answer that the attendance expectation is around 5,000 is what it could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less.
Could you repeat that?
We're 5,000.
5,000. Thank you.
And I think Marion is correct, and she's been saying this all last week. That's why I attended the meetings with her. There is an expectation that at any one time in the park there would be about 2,000 people. It might peak in the evening as you move towards the headliner act and the Balloon Glow show, for example. But we don't do this very often. So, but I think 5,000 is probably a good planning number.
And in addition to the Makers Market and community groups, would there be an opportunity for small businesses to be highlighted as well, or given an opportunity to be featured some way so that we're also highlighting our small businesses that are in the city every year round? I don't know how we could, make some booths available for them,
50.
Or some space so that we are giving that opportunity as well. Those are some of my initial questions, but I am interested in the idea, just one voice, of maybe not having to do the Movie in the Park and this event as well. So from my understanding, they both take place in August.
Are you carrying?
Okay. Does that conclude your comments, Councilwoman?
I think so at this point. My first run at it.
All right, does staff want to address? Go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I could just answer the one question regarding UP businesses. Great question. We have so far we have about 10 UP businesses that are planning to participate, or we've been in discussions with. And these businesses, ranging from the security company, one of the security companies, to like Want a Cupcake, for example, and others. Even the band, one of the bands, Billy Shoe Band, which is one of the 4 or 5 bands that we have, he happens to live in UP. So we do have some UP representation, obviously, and then we also have the cider at the beer garden apparently is made in UP. So.
And again, when we're talking sponsors, I think those are great spaces for people to sponsor. The beer garden sponsored by so-and-so. Trader Joe's coming on as a stage sponsor. Maybe they want to sponsor the kids stage at $25,000. Some of those bigger pockets that we have in our city for this one-time shot, I think would be worth a significant ask as well. So yes, Mayor Pro Tem, now that concludes my comments. No
Thank you,
further questions that I put
Councilmember.
out.
Mayor, you're back.
Okay, I guess we are next. Let's just, whoever raises their hand, I'll try to recognize people, and if I miss you, just poke the person next to you, and they'll poke me. So I see Mayor Pro Tem's.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've got a long list of things here, but I'll try and keep this as brief as possible. We were recently briefed on our annual budget by our Director of Finance, Leslie. We had a budget surplus. Do you recall what that number was? I want to say like 1.2 million is floating around in my head. Is that accurate in your memory?
That's about right.
Is that, am I getting head nods on that one?
I thought it was 1.8, but
1.8, I like that
I
better.
thought
We can go with your version unless I was told otherwise.
all right. Now I need to produce 1.8 million for the council, and if it's 1.2, where am I going to find the extra
Right.
600,000? No, but I believe it was a 1.8 million dollars, but I don't have anyone from the finance department here at this point. So, and
Okay.
Matt has a memory like a steel trap.
It was 1 point something.
We'll go with that.
But Leslie also highly disclaimed it that she was still awaiting additional numbers, invoices, and carry forwards.
Correct.
Exactly.
So.
Okay, so right now, as of the moment, we have a very definite 1 point something maybe. All right. So, okay, that helps because it makes the idea of saying, well, if we take 20% of our budget surplus to fund a 30th birthday celebration, that doesn't sound anywhere so bad as, we're taking it out of something else. All right. I really like the planning you've put into this. And the idea of making memories. I think the Balloon Glow Show is something that is absolutely unique. We've never seen one around here before, and I think that will definitely make a memory that people will carry for years to come. And so, while I like the bands, I like the beer garden and the market and all that kind of stuff, that stuff everybody's seen before, but this is a unique item that I think people will take away from this particular event, and it will build community memory, which I really appreciate. Thank you. And I also really appreciate the inclusion of teens. I think I won't say we've done them a disservice, but a lot of our previous events have either catered to adults, beer garden, or to little kids, the little dart throwing things or whatever. And having something for our young adults to participate in, I think, is awesome. I didn't see anything in here about food. Do you have anything, like, was there going to be a food truck plan, or is there something like that?
2 food courts. One will be up by the skate park with 3 or 4 vendors up there.
Okay.
And then another is down below with everything else on the cement pad by the baseball diamonds. I think we're having 5 at that location.
Okay. And then I would also suggest that since you have a bus line stopping right here at Town Center, that you work with the local food vendors in this area here, Green Furs and everywhere else, because there's going to be a lot of people who might want to break from the park, grab a decent dinner, and then go back, and if the bus is taking them back and forth. So developing some kind of sponsorship, marketing, whatever kind of plan with these local businesses would be great. For things like parking management, crowd control management, that's another opportunity which you probably already looked at, but for volunteer groups that might want to participate, whether it's the local scout troops, Rotary, somebody, to do that kind of thing. So we don't necessarily have to use a paid staff person to do that. Just a thought. Totally concur with Councilmember Grassi's comments on sponsors. I think I brought that up with you before too last week. Really love the idea of trying to pull in sponsors. If we have a big inflatable something or other for kids to play in, this inflatable has been sponsored by, something or somebody. I think that would be a great opportunity to help defray some of these costs. And then we do several events a year. Obviously, we have the Christmas party, Oktoberfest, things like that. Would there be a possibility at this point of accepting or incurring slightly higher one-time costs to buy a piece of equipment rather than renting it, and then using it through all our events over the course of the year, like parts of a stage or lighting or whatever it is that we rent every time we do this? Would there be a cost savings opportunity in the long term? Understanding it would be a little more expensive in the short term. Just a thought. And then let me see, what else did I have here? Really, that's about it for right now on the subject of what you're looking for, which is the head nod or not. I would say that when you get closer into the planning, I would love to hear more, maybe, I don't know if you'd want to do this in a public forum, but about the back office, the security, the things that are going on behind the scenes, just how that's going on, just to help, make me feel better about how things are going. And for now, that concludes my comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at Councilmember McCluskey next.
Okay, well, a lot of my questions are being answered and asked, so thank you, so I don't have to repeat those. But I will put emphasis on sponsorships, like the main stage, the skate jam sponsorships, if they don't come with their own. I don't know if that's costing us anything for the skate jam or, okay, so maybe a sponsorship for that. Tony Hawk, hey. Yeah, me too. That would bring in a lot of people, just if he showed up. Can you define more about the outside investments that you had talked about in your PowerPoint presentation?
Oh, I'm referring to the draw for businesses to come locate in University Place, because we are building such a reputation around our events, and the excitement in the city is growing.
Yeah. And with that the case, I would say the 27th Business District needs to be tagged and engaged.
It would be great to
as
do
well,
something there,
because sometimes they're not at the forefront, so they could come in and be coached along. Maybe Ms. Metcalf can coach them along, and there could be some benefits for them to, create a presence. You put not only there's the signs about the event in their windows, but maybe an investment into the event if they see that they could gain a business advantage for doing that. The churches in our community as well. And not to say that they'll give money, but maybe they'll augment some things at the event as well, to encourage more of the community groups to participate, because when people come to an event like that, kind of like the UP Festival, they want to see a lot of community grassroots happenings going on. I am curious about the 25th budget that we had put in place for because I believe we did have something like that. If it got absorbed or passed through to another funding source, or maybe it got used in a way that rerouted the money because we had to do the celebration in a different way because of COVID.
We'd have to research that.
Yeah, okay.
2020, there might have been a placeholder.
Placeholder?
Just a 50,000. Yes, I don't know. Steve, you?
Okay.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about it, but I'll talk about it later. My turn.
Okay. Right, and like Mayor Pro Tem would, they tag on to a little bit of that surplus, but I don't know if I want to do $250,000 of the surplus. If we can come in and augment that with other resources and sponsorships. Also, I looked on FERCRIS's website, and they have a call for volunteers for their centennial event. Volunteers, ambassadors, so maybe that could help with the back of the house piece to that, and start, whittling down some of the bottom line cost. I would like this event to, put out all the stops and make it a big, wonderful celebration, 4 stars for sure, or 5 stars. After all, we missed our 25th, and so let's have the community come out and celebrate their city and their history and their sense of place, and have a lot of fun. I'll conclude my comments there.
Okay, the next person I have is Councilmember Worthington.
Okay, thank you. Let me just supplement a little bit of what Councilmember McCluskey was talking about with regards to budget and my memory. So my memory is approximately $100,000. We had talked about some sort of special dinner. There were a few other activities that were going on. I think I want to say we put at least mentally, if not in fact on paper, 100,000 or so aside for that purpose. But it's been 4 years, and so if that money didn't get spent, it went into the carryover and got redistributed, and we've now paid pencils with it, or done the other 6 billion things we do that require money. So while I can mentally say, oh yeah, we didn't spend 100,000 here, I still have that in my head. And in fact, we still have money in our accounts. And we didn't really segregate. I doubt we segregated it. I certainly don't know that we did or didn't. But I think it's probably gone elsewhere in the organization. But there is something to be said. We're saying, yeah, we were going to spend 100 or 120 or whatever the number was. That didn't happen. So anyhow, some other things. First off, Mary and I think the planning efforts here have been very good, very detailed, very helpful. I can visualize it. I can get a sense of the excitement. I think I can hear it. There's a lot of that going on, and that's great. And it would be and is, I'm sure, a fun event, and will be a fun event. I have to say, at $250,000 city cost, I'm having a hard time swallowing that number. That's just a little bit above my comfort level. In fact, my comfort level is about 40% less, but that's just me. But there may be some ways to get there. Councilmember Grassi's idea of eliminating an activity is a great idea in my view, because it's one less thing to do, and there's a lot to do. Two, that if we don't do the movie in the park, a great tradition for us, but it sounds to me like that saves $18,000 in total, 9,000 special event, 9,000 the previous event. It's about an $18,000 event. So we wouldn't do that. It's a wonderful movie. We'd like to see the fire dancers, but at the same time, if that helps some more things be affordable, I think that's of interest. The name of the headlining group is Kalimba? Kalimba. An Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band. Mm-hmm. It is going to be funkadelic. I mean, I'm all set for Earth, Wind, and Fire, and that's just fine. And that would be a lot of fun, and I think there's going to bring people in to see it. So what if during our headline events we had some admission charge? Not trying to cover the full ticket, but if it's $5 or $10 for a good set of entertainment and a beautiful display of balloons, maybe people would say that's okay. And that's not a heavy gate cost in today's world. Previously, when we talked about the festival, historically in our community, we had entertainment fees associated with going to the acts. And they were, I think, more significant than 5 or 10. But if we recouped $25,000 or $50,000 and we saved another 20 over here, pretty soon we're talking about money. And that might be just another strategy. Sponsorships, I think, are good and should be pursued. However, I want to tell my story. My story, the first year I ran, now I'm not running, as I've said at the last meeting, so I'm going to tell election stories that don't matter because I'm not running. The first year I ran, I sponsored the UP Festival. Now, I sponsored it as a political candidate, and I had signs in my space there, and there was a deal cut that I would get certain things because I was a grade A sponsor. It was like $500. Not a lot of money. Well, it was money. But not a lot. It was actually, from my perspective, a pretty good deal as an unknown person in UP. I don't think that was the intention, that they would allow political sponsors for the festival. Somehow I think they just didn't consider it. So if we do sponsors, let's make sure we think about what it is we want to do and don't want to do. And that, my sponsorship got to be a little rough for both sides. Life goes on, that's behind us now. But you never know how. So we just either want to think through. If we do sponsorships, there's some. So the idea of being on the main stage and everybody should vote for Steve Worthington. Gosh, that maybe there's a reason that didn't happen. But it was supposed to happen according to the deal I had. So which I kind of understood. But I just want to share that thought because it's a good illustration. Sponsorships could be good in the right setting, in my view. And so those were just and I do think that would be a great music selection. So anyhow, I think that does it for me.
Okay. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a number of comments and only a couple of questions, so let me just walk through my comments first. Thank you for this effort. I remember when we were talking about the importance of celebration, the moment, making sure there was a sense of place, and then making an emphatic effort to put a vision out there that as people did get a chance to experience it, they would leave with something memorable. They would absolutely have the type of impression that I do remember what I did in work. We had a chance to experience the 30th year of the City of University's Place existence. And so I just want to make sure I frame that because I don't want to lose really what it is that I'm evaluating now. We asked for a big vision. We asked for essentially something that would be all things to all people because we were invested in the expectation of let's see what can be possible. And so I can tell you, I think one of the adjectives I heard was, I can feel, what this event would be like if I had to speculate based upon all the different things that I'm seeing are going on from 9 in the morning to 11 at night, or 11 in the morning rather than 9 at night. And so I think if it really is 5,000, which I don't have any doubt, I would even say if it was beyond 5,000, it wouldn't surprise me. We've done an excellent job in making sure people first feel safe. Secondly, they have a good time in the City of University Place with the thoughtful events and the intentionality about making sure community is inclusive. And we've just been really, really good at that. And I don't know a lot of cities that can make that claim. But having said that, this no doubt hits that mark of why it is that people would say, well, let me pencil, no, let me put pin, August 23rd. I want to be right there being a part of that. And so I just really wanted to appreciate you for that. We're turning 30 people and done a wonderful job of creating a runway for people to really appreciate that. The sponsorships are absolutely a fantastic idea. I was a little surprised that I didn't hear about a sponsorship plan specifically because of the things that we've just talked about. I don't think that there's going to be something that's going to be as memorable as our celebrating ourselves could be as a city until we get, 50. Doesn't mean we won't be celebrating in between. I just don't think that there's anything that's going to be as magnanimous as this could be, because we missed our opportunity at 25 through no fault of our own. But think about being a century old and what that could have been. It doesn't surprise me that $100,000 was a thought that perhaps spending for that type of opportunity was ideal. I like all of this. I don't know what necessarily could be pulled back. All of it could be pulled back for different reasons. But if we begin, in my view, to look at how can we save money, I'm just going to caution us to be mindful about what we're trying to do. Because we can save money in so many different ways by just looking at this list of things that are here. But the reason why they're here robustly is because some people, good, bad, and different, would like to be having the best time of their life at any given time they choose from 11 to 9. For some people, it's going to be the band. For some people, it's going to be the skate jam. Some people, good, bad, different. It may be the movie, but I don't want us to miss the expectation of what it is that we're trying to provide for these residents and citizens that, in my view, could really have a buoyancy because of something like this. It doesn't mean we weren't a frugal council. Lord knows there's nobody more frugal than this council than the City University Place. But I just want to make sure that we don't miss where we started. And then the last comment is around volunteers. In order to pull off an event like this, the logistics have to be impeccable. And where that comes into an impact is if you begin to believe that a volunteer, good, bad, and different, could actually be a substitute for the skilled personnel that you need in order to be effective when it comes to your safety, or really making the experience as impactful as it could be, it's not an easy substitution. So I would just be mindful of that. And then the last comment around just opportunities for money offsets. The situation where it comes to, if we charge for some of these events, and then we looked at the aspect of collecting monies from a logistical standpoint, it can be a good offset, but it does change the thoughtfulness behind how we're going to be engaging our audience all day, how we're going to be specifically looking at that aspect of it in terms of money collection, and then how we're going to account for the expectation of you've got a paid seat, and how does that now translate to your experience? Where do you sit? How do you expect that to be honored? All those things are just food for thought, and I just want to be sure that we consider those things, because they're just different ways to move away from first. We ask for a wonderful experience where perhaps we could be all things to all people. It doesn't happen very often, but if we can pull it off, what is going to be absolutely is memorable. People will love their city and their council that much more for creating an opportunity. So my two questions were, one regarding the booths. You said 50 booths being available for the event. Are those booths specifically to perhaps be a solution that Councilwoman Grassi alluded to? How can we have our local business be more transparent? So there was a thoughtfulness about that aspect, and then specifically 50 booths. So we're trying to fill that up with the local folks to be able to ensure that that is absolutely underscored. So I like that idea. I'm really big on economic development, and I think it continues to pay off the more we pay attention to it. And the last one was, is there an opportunity, last question is there an opportunity regarding the offset of volunteers that we haven't thought about, since there was an expectation of maybe volunteers can defray costs? Again, I front-loaded that I'm really concerned about making sure that volunteers aren't just placed in positions where I know we need skilled people to help pull this event off. But if you got something that speaks to that, and it defrays costs as a result, just want to hear what your thoughts are around that. So those are my two questions. And as always, thanks so much, Mayor, for my time to ask questions.
Would you like to answer his two questions, or at least attempt? If you don't have an answer, great.
Well, I think Councilmember Boykin raised a good point about the volunteers. We're pro volunteers, except that there is a caution, an asterisk on that, because he's right. The security, a lot of the things that we do to make an event safe and enjoyable really requires, we believe, paid experience. Individuals that you pay. When you pay them, they show up. They have a job to do. They have a specific experience or talent that's needed. It's not that we couldn't supplement with additional volunteers, but you're still going to end up with your core has got to be individuals that have assignments, and they're, and it's much more challenging to do it with volunteers and have and have the reliability that you need for key things. But volunteers can be used in other ways, and there are other less or minor assignments that don't carry the weight of certain functions, that back of house functions. So I didn't really answer the question other than we'll look into it. We are aware of the issues associated with the use of volunteers. There are some things that are done that simply that are not appropriate to have volunteers in those areas. So,
Well, let me help.
Of the event.
If there is something where you know for sure, here is where volunteers would be, first of all, not just welcome, but effective in terms of specifically defraying costs. It would be ideal to have that in front of council so we can sort of help front load what we're looking for when we talk about a volunteer scenario, because we know that also won't put the event at risk, won't put them at risk, and certainly ensures that if they happen to walk away from it at any given time to enjoy the actual birthday party, no harm, no foul. And then you did answer the question about the 50 booths, and that being the way in which we are thoughtfully and intentionally making it a point to encourage local businesses to have not just opportunity, but visibility inside of that space. And so that would be fantastic. Let me just reiterate that sponsorship scenario. Businesses get to thrive because of the good activity, economic activity, and the good leadership that happens here. So asking them to take a look at sponsorships where they are really positioning those businesses as a return on investment in the City of University Place, specifically while we're doing this 30th year celebration, I think not only is good business decisions on their part, but I think is a wonderful opportunity that we would miss otherwise if we did not look at that. So just my 2 cents about how the sponsorships really are coveted, in my view, for the 30th, more so than anything else. Not that different from Council Member Worthington's really strong insight on how it kept paying dividends. How long have you been on the council again, President?
2012, 2013, I think. Yeah.
Same type of return on investment when it comes to their branding and their customer experience. All those things make themselves available at the 30th because people will continue to remember. I saw them there. It was a fantastic experience for me and my family, and I'm just really glad I had a chance to live through it. So thanks again for indulging me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I have quite a few. I hope you have some lead or ink left. I'll start with a hot topic here, and that is sponsorships. I think that we're opening up for, unless we're saying we're giving them open blank sheet of paper that whatever they can do, fine, but I can't imagine that they need, if they have to come back and say, well, this is the sponsors, or this is what we're going to charge them, this is the, I think that we'll never get to anything. And so if we're saying that, if you can get a sponsor, great. If you don't, I hope that we don't expect them to come back, try to get approval on anything with concerning sponsorships. If we do, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So that's, that and because that's a specialty. I know about sponsorships. Believe me, I've done a lot of sponsorships in my lifetime, and it's not an easy task. It isn't so you can just assign any staff member and say, go and ask a business for money. It's a specialty, and then all the details, and that the staff have to really think as well. If somebody goes out on our behalf, what is it that they can, say that we need to do? That's going to take time and effort and everything else. And maybe some legalese agreement that has to be typed up. It's more and more on the burden of the staff, and I'm being very conscious about this. If somebody calls and says, can I buy a sponsorship? Maybe, they can go on the fast lane and say, okay, stop for a second and say, yeah, we'll take this. But I think that that's not as doable as you think it is. Not especially, I don't think we're going to get a $50,000, $100,000 sponsorship, maybe a $5,000, but it's just nickel and diamond on something that we're actually behind 8 ball. We really are. For something this big, they should have already accomplished at least a third of this. And if we ask them to come back to report before they get the okay, I don't think that's going to work very well. The movie at the park, I think that's a great idea, because if you do want to cut costs, I don't mind cutting costs if it's a block of something you can identify. But to slice off some entertainment of like hours or whatever, then it becomes very tricky about how much and negotiating that. But I guess you can, I think there's an advantage not only to cost, but because it's so close. And something this big, staff is going to be exhausting. Volunteers is going to be exhausted, excuse me. And I think that could easily be taken out, and I think the public will be okay with that, because just a couple of days before they had this big party, and I think they would understand. Nobody wants to have 2 weddings in their house 2 days later. It's just nobody will volunteer. Why would we do that? It's not right. And it saves a little bit of money, but I think that we focus and we provide our energy for staff and even our volunteers and public and responders and everything else. As far as I'm not sure, and it's just a comment, and I don't need a response, but I mean, just food for thought. I think most of this hope is food for thought, not to say come back and report. Maybe it's a report, but not to ask for a permission. But that's a lot of people, and other than sitting on the ground, is there going to be like benches, some sitting areas so they can, rest? I mean, out of that many, you got to at least say that's going to be 20%. It might be elderly, disabled, that they need to kind of rest somewhere. So just for thought, whatever you do, that's your business. Restrooms, for example, what is the actual, and this is a question, is what is the maximum? It's just like a restaurant, it says max. They sit down. So what's our maximum that we can put in that park based on everything else that's going to be placed in there? And will the restrooms even accommodate that? And will we have additional buckets?
We have 2 locations. We'll have, I think, 6 to 8 up by the skate park. And then in between the baseball diamonds, set back behind the food truck area, will be a bank of the portable restrooms on both sides with hand washing stations down the center.
Good. What's the max is there such a thing as a max for a park?
There is. We will be mandated based on the amount of people that we have to have a certain amount of.
So if there's more coming through at the shuttles, do you just say we're at capacity? What do you do? What is the max?
I'm not sure of that. The planning department will let us know.
So not to put you on the spot, but again, look at the max, and then be nice, to know. Just again, it's a report, not that you're asking permission here. I'm not asking that you come back before we approve it, but how do you deal with overflow? And then the other part would be. Is the fire department going to have a medical tent there?
We hope that they'll be on site all day.
You hope, so you're not sure. So if they don't, then what's our plan?
We will have first aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Will we have any city drones to capture this event?
None are planned.
Okay, something to think about,
look into that.
If it's available. But I think, something this big, having a drone capturing such a big event, and also maybe even security purpose.
Okay.
So, and then would you be staging this all day Friday, starting Thursday, obviously, right? So whatever that is, proper posting on the park ahead of time so nobody's planning, a birthday party or whatever. So something like that. And I don't say that to insult you. I figure that you probably thought about most of this, but just talking out loud. The other thing is investment. And I'm talking to my peers here, and that is, we look at investment, we heard about, businesses that might move in. I think most businesses already know UP. What I'm thinking is a different kind of an investment, and that is drawing people to move into UP. So we have a lot of developers developing a lot of apartments in UP. And they still, we have about 4 or 5 that's built, and they're not full yet. There's just not. And we have plans for another, 3, 4, 5, 600 apartments to be built. And I'm concerned, even though PSRC and all the brains out there that say this is going to get populated quicker than not, we don't know that for a fact, but we're going to be the ones holding the hot potato, and that is a bunch of empty apartments that look derelict, and that's what happens when they're empty, and not have a city where people would want to move in. And I think that the investment here, to me, in my mind, is having people say, wow, this is the city I want to move in. How do I do that? And because we need to make sure that those apartments, those housing that we say we don't have enough, we got to put people in there or help, because even though it's not our investment building those, it is our investment if they don't get full, and after a few years, like any store, it looks pretty sad. So I think that that's the greatest investment I see out of this ordeal. I believe that that at the end, as we provide direction to accept this or not, I think that there is only really 2 things. Because I really think that Ms. Grassley's idea that move park or not will be an initial nod. Do we want to provide direction to take it off, the movie at the park, or to leave it on? I think that's number 1 direction. Number 2 direction is, do they move forward with this or not at all? Because if it's not at all because of the monies, then we have a lot of, how are you going to cut this? How are you going to slice it? I don't think, none of us are professional butchers, but I think it's going to take some effort, and it isn't going to be tonight. So think about that as we move forward here to finalize, what direction we're going to give. And so with that, I give it to the floor to Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one additional comment for my fellow council members, or a couple really. First, when I mentioned budget surplus earlier, I want to point out where that money actually came from. That was actually interest earned on federal grant money. That was not even coming from our local citizens, other than through the federal government. But it was interest earned on local grant money. And if we were to spend $250,000 out of, say, a $1.8 million, because I like that number better, but so I'll go with that one for now, that's 13.8% of interest earned on federal grant money that we'd be spending. $200,000 is obviously less than that. 10% of 1.8, you could get a $180,000 event. It's just, I understand the sticker shock because I feel it too. $250,000 is quite a bit. And yes, spending it here means it's an opportunity cost. We'd spend it somewhere else if we didn't spend it here. I get that. But I feel less bad about spending it right now because it didn't come directly from our citizens out of property tax or sales tax or something like that. So just a thought. And so with that, I would like to add my head nod to this event in the amount of what I would like to see is an effort made toward sponsorships of some kind. I understand the mayor's concerns with it. They're absolutely valid. It may be hard to do. But I would like to give a head nod with or without that, with the idea that we I would approve this at this amount with the idea that I would hope that the city could take time to find some sponsorships. And as far as the first question you mentioned as to whether or not we'd want to do movie in the park, I support the idea of cutting movie in the park to defray some of the cost. So that would be my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try and make this quick. Just wanted to summarize a couple of things and clarify another. First off, a question. So, as I mentioned earlier, I can see on paper we may be able to save perhaps $18,000 a movie in the park, but we may also have current obligations that negate that. How much? What's the net savings?
Net savings, our back of the envelope right now shows us has committed to the tune of approximately $6,300 and change.
$6,300 is probably what the savings would be.
Yeah, our back of the envelope is $6,350.
That's fine.
Right now, moving the park.
I mean, that's close enough. We have a magnitude cost, and so that isn't going to be obviously that's not $18,000. Even though the cost is $18,000, we have obligations, we have licensing agreements. I can envision there's stuff out there that we need to do. Okay, that's good for us to know. The other thing is, I mentioned that my appetite was about a 40% reduction. I should probably just say that's $150,000 net cost after that reduction. Now, whether we can get there or not, I'm not sure. Well, take 40% times 250. Whatever. Okay. But that would reduce cost by potentially, well, that would reduce cost to $100,000 as a target. Yeah. So I just wanted to be clear about what my statement was, and rather than as a percentage, it occurred that may not be quite as clear. And then additionally, while charging a admission fee for headliner may be a way to get some additional money, there is some additional cost also, and I don't know how that offset plays out, and probably no one does right offhand. So good ideas don't always bear the fruit that they seem to in the instant they're said. So anyhow, thank you.
Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you. I concur along the thought with Mayor Pro Tem and also Councilmember Worthington to help defray the cost with trying to go out and get sponsorships, call out for sponsorships. At this point, all the corporate sponsorships are probably already taken, but maybe you can glean, some change here, a little change there, maybe Trader Joe's, to help augment the bottom line cost with that. I do want, we expanded the event to double what it was initially, so that is double the cost, but whatever that is in today's time. I was trying to do research online to figure out how this dollar amount vetted out with other events in other cities, and I was hard-pressed to find anyone disclosing the cost to their big bash events. I'm still investigating that, going a little deeper maybe into some of their council meetings and figure it out. But I have a feeling, because Lakewood is also doing the glow balloons at their big, blowout event that they're having as well, that this bottom line cost may not be as far off as we thought it was. I do have trepidations to charge our citizens, our residents, or the attendees to go to a signature event. I've been to events like that, and it just feels like, you're a second-class citizen if, you really can't afford that, or there's some issues. So I'd rather it just to be inclusive and free, like we have done in the past. The University Place has, free, inclusive events for all. I think that's been our model going forward. If that changes, I think it needs to have a bigger event, a bigger headliner than what we have currently with the Kalimba? Maybe, maybe something like Aerosmith. And I could see you could charge, but I don't think with this knockoff band that, even though they're excellent and they're good, that we should charge for that. We missed the 25th anniversary. We had a budgetary amount set. It probably got absorbed in the budget, like Councilmember Worthington said. So that was a cost savings going forward. We may not have another celebration like this until the 50th, because so I think our citizens deserve something that's a 5-star first-class event this year. But it is the sticker shock. $250,000 is a lot of money, so we can defray the cost. More kudos to you, but I do want a, first-class event like our residents are accustomed to. For the movie in the park, that's kind of a traditional date and time stamp, and then for that to be foregone in that tradition, like Duck Days, I can understand the cost savings in that, but at how much cost savings to take away a traditional event? $9,000, is that what probably we're talking about? 13?
18
minus the 63 that we would
63?
lose. So about 13, 12.
Okay, so if we were to go forward with the event, but to have it tapped down, so we can bring the cost savings back into the main event and give a promotional excitement feel to the participants at movie in the park. Here's your movie, here's the fire dancers, but just wait until the whatever date it is, the 23rd. We're going to put out the stops, come to that event as well. So, because if I don't want us to lose the money, but we don't have to have the event like we were going to have it, we upticked it. So just keep it pretty much the same. At the fire dancers, movie in the park. That would be my suggestion there. So as the mayor indicated, it's a little late in the hour to bring this back for another study session and another study session. But I think you have a good handle on it, and you can look for the cost savings inside each and every turn and squeeze whatever you can out and ask the community and for other sponsorships, and wherever the bottom line ends up. You have your top end of $248K. Just try to whittle it down as much as you can, but keep it the 5-star impression. Thank you. Mayor, I'm done.
Okay, and I'm going to go next, and then next after me is Mr. Boykin. And Ms. Grassi, are you going to want to speak anymore? Okay, then Councilmember Grassi. Just a few clarifications and then a comment, and that is, number one, this whole movie at the park, I'm confused. So I know about the 9,000 and the other 9,000. Now, is the movie at the park before the event or after the event? Before the event?
August 2nd.
August the 2nd.
It's always the first Saturday in August.
First Saturday, well, and then this is the following Saturday?
This is the fourth Saturday, closest to the actual incorporation date.
So at this number, I don't know about, now we're trying to nickel and dime ourselves in savings, and I'm not sure if that's worth it. Should we, and again, remember, Butch an event. I mean, we said, well, let's not just have the fire dancers or whatever they are and not have the rest of the stuff. If we're going to have it, let's have it. If we don't, we don't. I do think the idea of maybe just go back to just a movie at the park and not the extra 9,000. That's a choice. But I think that But to slice a particular event into pieces, that doesn't feel good to me. There's just a clear, I really believe that this staff has their hands full. This is above and beyond what they're already doing, including extra time and everything else. So I'm a proponent to keep it as simple as possible so they can focus on making it first class. Otherwise, if they're going to be feeling like they're stepping on glass and wondering if what council member is going to be ticked off because they didn't, do something. I think that again, to keep it simple, is to just at the end, because I want everybody to hear everybody's comments, so that might change your mind. My mind has changed like 3 different times already. So let's wait until the very end to hear Mr. Boykins, Ms. Grassi, and we heard everybody else's, and then we can maybe one more time to Mr. Sugg and see if there's anything from him, and then we can give a head nod in an intelligent way as much as we can. So the only other thing too for me is that number is huge, but it's going to be huge to a lot of people that haven't gone through this debate and this offline thinking that we do. It's going to be say why are we throwing a $250,000? Well, if we keep the movie at the park. Why are we throwing a $250,000 party? And what's the value? So especially when just recently we raised the card tabs to $40 because we said we didn't have enough money for road maintenance. We said that. And here it is. A year later, we're spending $250,000 on a party, a one-day party. And not too long ago, we did a public safety levy that failed twice. And then we said we really need money because we don't have enough money for the police staff and blah, blah, blah. And even a liaison coordinator that goes out there and helps out. And then before that, we raised utilities for things because we didn't have enough money. I'm not sure how I'm going to, my head's going to nod yet because, I look at the value and I know that, and I've said this in this diocese before, I can't believe the response when I talk to other council members and mayors and just people outside of UP, even people inside of UP, and they're just like, they just enjoy driving into UP. The streets, the cleanliness, no homelessness encampments, lively businesses, lighting at night when they drive through here. I mean, everything is cool, and it is a desired place to live, really is. And when I hear those things, and I've heard them before and I've said it here, and like I said earlier, the one thing that I see the value in this, other than doing a big party, is that I'm really concerned that we're overbuilding with apartments. The apartments are not inexpensive. Let me put it maybe a little bit not so educated terms. They're not cheap to rent. One bedroom going into $2,000, over $2,000 here in UP. So I have a concern about how these folks are going to fill their apartments. I'm concerned about the ones that are coming up. And if we really want to, we have this designation that from PSRC is that we're going to do certain things to bring in the population. And so we're kind of obligated to keep, allowing for buildings. We're still doing this, plans for the different district plans. I think that if there's a value in my mind, is continue to show people that come here that this is the place to come and live, period. As a community, as a hometown, and everything else. You look at the high school, the school system, look at the taxes they get. Why? Because it's a nice school and nice, achieved a school district. Same thing with the fire department. Look at the taxes, tons of money that we've been blamed that we've been collecting. So, so when we talk about this, it's about, I don't think it's more than just celebrating the 30th, is the value, and I think that somewhere or another, as we go, if we do do this, then we, as a council members and staff and whoever, probably should have a nice, not a script, but some highlights that the staff can give us and say, this is the value. If you're going to talk about this, this is the value for our citizens, our visitors and everything else, because we are going to have to express and explain the value for this $250,000 that we would spend on behalf of the citizens after we told them that we didn't have enough money. And I like your explanation, Mayor Pro Tem. I didn't think about that, but because I've been struggling with that. But it is interest that we have been we've been fortunate enough to be able to get the interest on that, as well as from monies that was from the federal level. So I think that it helps to digest this, but I think they're going to want more value. What is it? And we're going to have to be, for better words, a good proponent of how we're going to speak that, and express that, and especially like on the website, it's going to be asked why high from it, somewhere where we're communicating, we're going to spend this. I mean, let's not hide $250,000. I mean, it's going to be found out. I'd rather have it on our website, and this is the value. That's just my thoughts on that, and hopefully we'll resolve this tonight and get some direction. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will do my very best to keep it brief, and I will underscore just 4 things that I hope that you can help me with. The first is I just really want to make sure, again, that we asked for a celebratory moment, and again, we got a really good response to that. And what we do beyond that, as long as we start there, I'm good. I also want to say that it's not unusual that the council would fall to its default expectations and character of how can we be really, really thoughtful with the monies that are entrusted with us. And that typically means how do we keep figuring out how to do absolutely more with less, and find the less and find the less and find the less. That's okay with me too. I understand that because, again, it's just how we're built with our fiduciary responsibility. So with that, let me just point out a couple of things. The Movie in the Park scenario, would it be in an August event on the 2nd, and then the expectation that we might have this as part of our celebratory efforts essentially 3 weeks later. I just want to make sure that I'm really clear about that. To me, that's all that means. If I look at the monies that are involved, good, bad, and different, we were talking about $18,000 as opposed to a net of about $11,000 in keeping the event in, and I'm not advocating for either one. I just want to make sure that based on what we see, an $18,000 savings would still be less money that we save with staff overtime as just being one of the things that we're looking at. So we are really, in my view, needing to pay attention to what it is that we are getting. If we're just looking for a lever to say we save some monies here, great, but let's look at back of the house where it's $109,000. The back of the house breakdown, all those are logistics and safety that allow us to even put the right type of care and nurturing around the event, taking care of our resident citizens before we even give them any entertainment value at all. The shuttle and the parking, the rentals and facilities, the security and custodial, and then promoting the event. We're at $110,000 essentially, just in making sure the event is safe and consistent with what we'd expect, with inviting our residents out to enjoy themselves. So if we're at $110,000 there, if we're talking about saving $18,000 to remove one event, as I look at it relative to that, if we're really trying to save money, are we really trying to make sure that we don't feel uncomfortable about being challenged regarding was there value here? I'm telling you, I'm beginning to struggle with recognizing what it is that we intended on doing to help our citizens and residents recognize that we're not just celebrating by ourselves, we're celebrating collectively a milestone, and it'll continue to pay dividends. So I just want to caution us. However we want to move through this, I'm going to give my nod to, I'm going to support the cost as is, but however we want to move through removing essentially whatever is going to make us feel good enough to be able to answer a question or proactively put a value out there on a website. The residents and citizens of the City of University Place, they walk around feeling really good about this place of destination, not from only one-day event or one way in which we behave, for how the council takes its responsibility seriously and how that translates to their quality of life. And I don't think any event that we pull back on and say, here's where we saved some money, is going to change that any more than if we were to add another $15,000 this event is going to somehow seem like we were all of a sudden outside of the expectation of being really strong fiduciary associates and advocates for our city. But I just want to make sure that that's on the record, because I do not want us to get away from why it was that we were even looking at a celebratory moment in the first place, what we were expecting to give residents and citizens an opportunity to react to, and how we had hoped that that was going to translate to a moment that they would be that much more appreciative and proud that they were part of the City of University Place and its building up to his 30-year anniversary. So that's my comments. And thanks again, as always, for letting me share it.
Councilmember Grassi, you said you still needed one more try here?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I also want to make, on my Teams meeting that I'm joining in, it says I have under 5 minutes left before it cuts me out. So I don't know if the city clerk could assist me with adding time, or if I have to log back in or log out. I know we're set to adjourn at 9:30, so it looks like I'm set to be cut off at 9. Maybe that's your way of telling me you're all done with me, which is fine.
No, you can continue to stay on the line. Okay. You're not going to get cut off.
Wonderful, thank you. My last comments are similar to those of Mayor Pro Tem Wood. As far as I really feel an onus and hope our city staff can work diligently to try to get some sponsorships. I believe in those wholeheartedly. I know there's hiccups with them as well, but I think this is an opportunity. I think marketing is going to be huge. I know we haven't talked specifically about that. I know Marion is no stranger to marketing her events as she does well, and our team, our communications team, but this is going to be a different level. I think so that's going to have to be something that we really look at. I'm in agreement with Councilmember McCluskey that I don't think a ticket price is something that I want to do. I think what we do great as a city is wrap our arms around everyone. And that this is an opportunity to do that without a ticket price. I have heard Kalimba. I've been at 2 of their concerts personally. One of them was for the opening of the Tacoma Dune Peninsula down at the new Ruston Way waterfront. It was most excellent. So I will say that they are quite excellent, and that obviously was a huge opening for Tacoma Parks, and they headlined that event quite well. The movie in the park, yes, it's $1 savings, but I also think practically to have 2 events in August seems, I am a huge proponent of tradition, so I understand where Councilmember McCluskey is coming from and the hard work that's gone into it. I do think that pointing everyone, as I do know in marketing events, pointing everyone to one big thing, and what's our main thing? Do we want people to really focus on, if we're putting in the effort and the time and the money, do we want to split our focus in August when we're trying to advertise 2 events, or do we want to make sure that people know the 23rd is our push this year? I think the cost is significant. I agree with our mayor, and as far as pricing the prices on our website, I think if that's something that we want to do, then that should be done for all of the events. You know, I think that you start getting into an area where how much does Duck Days cost? How much does Oktoberfest cost? How much does our tree lighting cost? So that's a road that you start walking down, and I am all for transparency, but if we do that, then I think that we have to also be open to having those other items readily accessible for our citizens to read as well. So, yes, big ticket price. I see that. I also see a big opportunity, but I really see an opportunity for sponsorships. And while we can't bank on that at the moment, I think there's an opportunity there. So my thoughts are similar to those of Mayor Pro Tem, that I feel like there's a significant opportunity for that. So lots of other comments that have been said that I agree with as well. But yes, thank you. Thank you all for the hard work.
Before head nodding, Mr. Sugg, you and staff have any additional comments?
Okay. I think the hearing all of this has been great. Emphasis on sponsorships to the extent possible, while not factoring that into the budgeting. Anything that we can get obviously is a bonus and helps defray some cost. So we will definitely be focusing on that. There's a few action items coming back. I've been taking pages of notes here, and I've been writing action steps that, certain things coming back as I volunteers, listing those functions that could be staffed with volunteers and the potential dollar savings that we can realize from that. Realizing that it's really, it's also about engaging people in the event. Mm-hmm. It's not just necessarily saving money. It's about, can we get more participation and more ownership? And I think that there's a lot of value to that, and I appreciate that that emphasis by several council members. Yes, and in terms of the marketing, in terms of the talking points for you as council members and also for the public at large, I'll be working with the team on that. There's both the external marketing and the internal marketing and everywhere in between. This is a one-time event, and once it's done, it's done. You moved on, but hopefully we've left a great feeling, community feeling. It's brought us all closer together as a community, and 5-10 years from now we'll still be talking about this. So if we do it right.
Thank you.
But we're still waiting. We still need a head nod or
right.
something.
We're getting there.
Okay.
I want everybody to put everything on the table.
Yeah.
There is one more thing on the table that Worthington reminded me that, just FYI, again, the National Night Out, which is pretty big, takes a lot of staff, and we're getting neighborhoods together and all that for, which is the first Tuesday of August, and then we have the movie at the park soon after that, and then we have this big, party. So it's just FYI. I'm not saying we cancel National Night Out, but just FYI. I'm going to hopefully, if one of you don't agree, just say so, and we'll just figure it out. But to make it simple, I'd like to start with the movie at the park. And just make it simple, and that is, and I will start with that, and we'll just go around with the knees and then going out this way. But and it is whether we have the whole, the 18,000 event, or the regular movie at the park. And I think just either one would be one. I know that people said no movie at the park, but my sense is that there's enough that movie in the park is important as a tradition and everything else. And instead of wiping it out, let's just have a normal one and keep it traditional. So those are the two choices, to either just go back to just the 9,000 traditional.
Thank you. If you could, Mayor, I just wanted to ask that you or the staff identify what are the savings for those two options. So, What's the dollar amount, say?
Well, the savings would be taking 9,000 off that they would have. Okay, if we just go to the traditional, which is 9,000, we would save from not spending 9,000. That would be the savings.
Is that?
We have spent deposits for.
Oh, the additional stuff.
Yes.
Oh, the 6,300.
Yes.
Okay, well then, let's even make it more simple. Let's just say the full 18,000 spent, or nothing at all. I mean, at some point we just have to move on. So I'm saying for the move the park, if we're going to do this right, let's just do it right and do the full blown 18,000. That enhances that movie the park to celebrate the upcoming 30th birthday. That's my head nodding. Ms. Denise?
Thank you, Mayor, to go first on this.
Not a lot of remarks. We're just giving a head
I know.
nod.
I'm processing your comments, Councilmember Grassi's comments, all valid. Even though it's a traditional event, and I think it's a strategically important one to keep going. Boy, this is hard. I would go for the movie in the park to continue because of the deposits that we've already put in that we probably can't get back. So that would be the loss of money there. So that I think if you had not put the deposits out, I would say, probably cancel it for this year because of the linear focus and how big that birthday bash was, and just letting the residents know that we're transitioning our happy birthday that we usually have in the first Saturday of August to the 30th. But in light of the money spent, I say go forward with the movie in the park.
With the enhancements?
I think that comes with the territory, right?
Okay, just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Okay. Mr. Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think there's enough savings there to warrant changing what is already at this point planned with the enhancements. The savings are not going to amount to a significant difference, and we should just move forward. Chances are we'd spend as much money trying to stop it as we would as we'd probably save. So,
Mayor Pro Tem?
Concur.
Thank you. Councilmember Boykin?
I also concur, but I want to go on the record of saying that I'd rather remove the $18,000 so I can be the one that was fiscally responsible when it came to the decision. And I
see how you are.
Let's just stick to simplicity.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to concur and give the whole head nod to the $246,000.
No, we're not there yet. We're just talking about the movie at the park.
We can keep the movie at the park.
Whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada.
Worth. Okay.
Exactly right.
Councilmember Grassi?
I guess there's not really an option to say no at this point. If deposits are already made, I kind of feel like I guess I missed that. But for the record, I think we're shooting ourselves a little bit in the foot to do two events in August and National Night Out. So I just want to say that as much as I love the event and the tradition. So I would still scale it back. I wouldn't try to do an enhancement and do what we've already committed to. I would do what we already have to do and nothing more. But I also am not a proponent for losing deposits.
So I think that you have at least.
But I'm in the minority. It sounds like
you have some direction there, right, Mr. Sugg? You're clear on that one point? Okay.
Got that.
So
Thank
now
you,
we're going to go, and I'll start again, and that is the as presented. I know there's a lot of suggestions, and we all know that you're going to take every one of them to save, make money, to enhance the whole thing for us. But it's just we're talking about the $246,500, which includes the movie to the park thing for the celebration. And I don't give my head nod on that. It's just too much money. So, Councilmember McCluskey.
Okay, thank you. I will keep the budget top at the $246,500. Go in internally at this point in time and do as many cost savings and squeezing the lemon as you can as we march on with volunteers, sponsorships, and maybe look at some of the back house portions of that if you can, and maybe cut a little bit of that, but for sure ensure safety and make sure the experience is top notch. Thanks.
Councilmember Worthington.
I am in favor of proceeding as proposed. I know staff will find savings where they can, and they'll look for the options we've discussed.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm in favor of proceeding as proposed, again, with the idea that we look for savings, or if costs increase, that they're offset somewhere else. So if all of a sudden security costs go up, that we find a way to keep it under the 250 or 246. Thank you.
Councilmember Boykin.
I also would agree with a no more than price tag and no more than $246,500, whatever that means. And I also, Mayor, would ask that if staff could say who those other bands are, because the impression is Kalimba is headlining and they're just taking up that slot. That's an evening slot, but there are other bands that are going to be performing throughout the day. And if everybody heard those other bands, I think you'd have a different interpretation about the enjoyment throughout the day.
So let's finish what we're doing, and you can finish with that reply to him, to us on that. Councilmember Grassi.
Yeah, I think all thoughtful discussion, and I concur with other council members and believe in staff doing their due diligence on sponsorships and defraying the cost. So I would give a head nod to the proposal at max with a strong emphasis on sponsorships and partnerships coming in with some of these costs. So thank you.
Okay. So you have the direction that you need? Okay. So go ahead and provide an explanation.
11 a.m. is the Billy Shoe Band, and he's rock, blues, and country, and he's a national performer. And the next band at 12:30 is Petty Cash. They do a mix of Johnny Cash and Tom Petty. And the band that comes up after them is I'm drawing a blank. Sorry.
Can you email us?
Kid Rock, Kiss Rock, what's that genre?
Yeah, yacht rock, which is a big thing right now. It's soft rock, 70s soft rock. Mm-hmm. If you listen to Sirius XM, it's a hot station on there called Yacht Rock. So it's a tribute band to yacht rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it closes with Kalimba. So you've got a really good mix of genre and entertainment throughout the day.
Yeah. Each band is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As a fellow that's been to Earth, Wind, and Fire, Jazz Alley 6 times, it won't be the same. But I'll wait for them.
Okay, so you have your direction. Any questions on the direction?
Eric, we have direction. Thank you.
Okay, we're all good then. I know we have one more item. It is almost 15 after. I will suggest, and I'll let Mayor Pro Tem make a motion if he wishes, or someone. If not, then we will continue. But I'll just go ahead and make a motion. I'll make a motion that we, how do I say this, that we table, thank you, item number 11. I just think that is a major study session, and we could be here till 11. And we, I think, really worked really hard in providing good direction to the staff on the BASH. So,
Mayor, I move to table item number 11 and to a future meeting.
I would second, but I want clarity on this. Is that a removing it from the table permanently, or is that
No.
deferring to a specific date or the situation?
To refer to the next
Okay.
agenda.
Next available?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Opposed? None? It passes, so the session is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Melanie.
Thank you, Councilmember Grassi.